Hello, hello, family. It is another golden opportunity to come your way again. My name is Ejewa, and I am your host for the Woke Africa Show. And I say Ubuntu, Ubuntu to every single one of you. It is so amazing to see Akoma Healing Arts Collective Incorporation. Sister Ajua, welcome. Good to see you online. Um, Time is now. It's really good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today we are here to talk about a very important subject. Okay, this subject is important to me as an African, to me as a Black person. Um, all right. Today we are going to be talking about something really critical in the global Black community, and I believe that you have a lot to say, and I actually intentionally used how do you call it? Yeah, okay, done. So I intentionally used sorry for that. I intentionally used StreamYard so that I can how do you call it? I can share the chat link with you so that you can come in because this is a conversation for all my AA followers and or subscribers, and I'll definitely love to hear from you. Um, so just hold on as I'm trying to. What happened? I was trying to set it up and it went a bit down south. So welcome once again, and this is the Woke Africa Show, and I'm kind of like feeling really positive about today's show because it's about my brothers and sisters in the AA community. And okay, so Evanston, Illinois, okay, is the city in the suburbs of Chicago. And the news came out that um, you know, there is going to be, reparations are going to be paid to the descendants of ADOS, or going to be paid to ADOS in Illinois. That's in the city of Evanston, and this has generated some kind of buzz online on social media. Um, and honestly, I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but I think it's a very important topic that we have to discuss because is this going to pave way for other communities, other cities in the United States to start taking the request of, you know, aiders seriously and start considering the procedures and the measures, through which they can actually pay reparations. So we're going to actually discuss what the whole package of reparation is. We're going to discuss how they even arrived at the targeted amount that they're going to be dishing out. We're also going to be discussing how this reparations is going to be, discussed, and just, we're also going to look at the fact that is it going to make people better off after receiving the reparations or worse off after receiving the reparations. And thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is your girl Ejiwa, and I am your host for the World Africa Show. And please fasten your seatbelts as we wait for a few people to come online. Now, the key operating word is Ubuntu. I am because we are, and that's how we're going to treat it. So that's why it's never been about just you. So I want to give a bit of a background to the city of Evanston. Okay, whilst we wait for our guests to call in. So please kindly call in if you have a contribution to this as we go along. Okay. All right. So Evanston, Illinois has a rich, a very rich Black history, and there's also the other side of it. Okay, it's that there is a considerable number of Black community in Evanston. So it's a city in the suburbs of Chicago, and there is also a very horrific record, which shows generations of, insidious racism. Okay, insidious racism, um, horrific record of, you know, enslavement of African Americans, and also racism, and also there is the incident of redlining. I mean, when it comes to acquiring property and settlement and all of that, there was massive redlining in this suburb, and it's kind of like cemented the divide. Okay, the divide. Um, for example, the wealth gap between the, the rich African American and the rich white people in that community is just so vast. Okay, so it kind of like, definitely wealth is not distributed equally. So and if you go on YouTube, like for some time now, before YouTube became unbearable to watch, Black YouTube I'm talking about, and I hope you all know what I'm talking about. So before that, we used to discuss reparations. We used to discuss reparations on, our shows. I think I've had the opportunity to have this discussion with some of our panel members. And if you're here, welcome, welcome, Iman. So good to see you, Kim Kenyatta. I'd like to say welcome, Ubuntu. I am because we are. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm trying to actually post the how do you call it, the link. So I would have to, okay, so let me see, guest, invite guest, copy. Okay, so it's copied to clipboard. Now let me see if I can post a comment. Yeah. All right, guys. So I just posted the link in the chat room, so you can call in. Okay. And so as we go along, I'd like to take you along with what the package is. So there was an ABC article that a friend shared with me, and the article read that the city of Evanston finally finds a headway and attempts to right the wrongs of the past. I mean, part of the wrongs of the past by paying reparation. Now, the question is how much reparation, is going to be paid out. Okay, guys. So I'm inviting you to to call in and share your thoughts because um, as you see, I'm sitting in Accra, Ghana. So there's a lot that I am actually counting on you as AA. And if you know, have more insight about these things, please call in and share with us. But it's actually a $10 billion package. Okay, the reparations amount is a $10 billion package, and for the disbursement, they arrived at 25,000 US dollars per head. 25,000 US dollars per head. And this has caused some kind of hold on guys. Hold on. Let's get Wi-Fi. Okay, fantastic. So this has caused a stir, okay, online. And some people have asked questions. And I'm going to ask you those questions because it will keep the conversation interesting. Some people are of the view and asking questions like, should this be called reparations? Because um, if in nearly all the cities and counties in the states already have some form of mortgage down payment assistance, some kind of home improvement grants, and some kind of mortgage payment relief, then are we going to, call this reparation? Is it actually reparation if these packages are already existent in most of the cities? Those are some of the concerns or questions that were coming online when I, was taking a look at that article on ABC. Some people were also of the view that by the 1860s, there was about 350,000, okay, 350,000 slave owners, and only 8 of them were Republicans. Okay, put that at the back of your mind. And Danny Glover was part of the team, okay, the team that was talking about how they arrived at this reparation and the fact that the wealth gap between the African American communities and that of, the white community is just that wide. And, reparation is too late, too little, and therefore, this is the right time to begin to kind of do something about it. And he said something really interesting. He said national reparation policy is moral, democratic, and economic imperative. It is moral, democratic, and economic imperative. So, when he said this, it brought the backdrop that, okay, so even after um in like 1860, where most slave owners were Democrats, then is this the right time for reparations to be paid? Some people are of the argument that it has to be the democratic government that spearheads the payment of reparations. Those are questions that I want the AA community to join me for us to discuss, because um, I want to know your view. Okay, so I did this show I dedicate this show to my African American friends, sisters, brothers, and fellow YouTubers. If you're here, please kindly hit the like button and share. Invite your friends to join us. This is the Woke Africa Show. Please follow us on Instagram, woke_Africa_show. You can also follow us and like us on Facebook at the Woke Africa Show. on Facebook. And if you are new here, please hit the subscription button and then consider supporting us on Patreon. We are not monetized, and so your support means a lot to the channel. So we're still going through some of the concerns that people had, and some of the key points that I also noticed as the article played on, and I realized that, I mean, it's always when you go online and there are issues like that and people are talking about reparations, it's almost like you find this negative racist people also putting across their comments. And it was nasty. I just was reading through some of the comments and I was like, geez, what about reparation that puts like, other folk like, off so much? And then they start putting all this very nasty comments on there. But some stood out for me and I wanted to talk about it. So some of them were asking, well, if my ancestor who carried out these atrocities are not here, why should my taxes be paying for reparation and I didn't do anything like that? But my question is, you're still enjoying the privilege that privilege from the sweat and blood of the black ancestors. So if you don't know why reparations must be paid now, then I just gave you your reason. Okay, I just gave you your reason. My light is acting up. So the answers that some was given out is that if your ancestors refuse to pay for the labor of my ancestors, yet you're enjoying the proceeds, why shouldn't the descendants of enslaved workers get that payment? And that I thought that was quite a compelling, argument over that. So the other comments too were like, true reparations is cash in hand, land and resources, and an apology. So the true reparation should be cash in hand, land resources, and an apology for everything that was visited and meted out to our ancestors on the plantations. So the question also begs, is 25,000 too little, too late? Just a drop in the bucket? And relatively comparing it to the injury, is it enough? Okay, is it enough? Comparing it to the injury, is it enough? Okay, so I hope you guys can see me. Hello, I hope you guys can see me. Yeah. All right, so let's keep going. So those were some of the points that were raised. So now let's see how this reparations, according to the city of Evanston, how these reparations are going to be paid. So there's three main different types of disbursement. So type one, disbursement type one, because people have always had this concerns that if you're going to put money in the hands of people who are struggling with life and don't have an idea, how to get out of the strings of poverty, then in 6 months, in 3 months, the money is going to finish and the person is just going to return back to poverty and nothing would have really changed. People were also of the view that if you handed money over to people for reparations, then they're just going to, the system is just going to absorb that money right back. So it's actually not going to stay in the pockets of the people who deserve to have this money, because the system is set up in such a way that when the money gets into the hands of the people, for whatever ways they think they are going to lift themselves out of poverty or increase their lots with the money that came or in whichever way, the money goes right back to the government through all kinds of systems and setups. And so the concerns were, if we're going to hand this money to the AA community, then that it should be well thought out, and the money should be applied in ways that actually increases the wealth gap between white people and then black people. And that is some of the reasons why people were like upset about the amount, because they're thinking that $25,000, yeah, it's money. It can actually do a lot for some families, but is it enough? If you look at the crime that was committed, is it nearly enough? Okay, it sounds like it's just a drop in the bucket for if the purpose of this reparation is actually to kind of close the gap, the poverty rift, how do you call it, the wealth gap, okay, in the AA community and also the white community, as in the corporate community. So the disbursements were thought out, and then personally, I like the types of disbursements that they were going to use to pay this money out to the black citizens of Evanston. And so we're going to talk about type 1. Okay. So type 1 is going to go out. The 25,000 is going to be given to a group of people who actually want to put a down payment to purchase a home or a house. So if you applied for that money will be put towards the procurement of a house. So that option is there. Secondly, the type 2 is going to go towards home repairs. So the $25,000, if paid, will be paid to assist you repair your property, or something like that. And then the type 3, it also goes towards mortgage assistance. Mortgage assistance. Let me go over. Type 1 is down payment for a home purchase. Type 2 is down, support towards home repairs. Type 3 is towards mortgage assistance. Whew. Sorry, guys. Type 3 is towards mortgage assistance. So I think you have to identify where you fit in. But then, even with the mortgage assistance and all of that, we have candid issues that we have to discuss about it. Because trust me, if they're asking for all of these requirements, to have a credit score as high as 800 and above and all of that, how many of our people are going to be able to qualify to take it? So I think I don't know to the full extent how they're going to work around this, because there are people in our community that have not so good credit. How are they going to approach this? Because this is not a loan. This is not I don't even know how to say it. This is payment for due for work on that, like this is payment for work that has been done and not paid for. So I don't know how they're going to use the credit score thing. But if somebody, if all of this is going towards purchasing a house or repairing a home, if you don't own a house and you don't qualify to get mortgage, then how do you take advantage of this? You know, how do you take advantage of this? Let me take a few of your comments and we continue from there. Okay, so let me start. Yeah, Akuma Healing Arts Collective says I'm ready. I'm already here. Said it's been a long time. Yes, it's been a long time. It's really good to see you, and I'm glad you're in the house. The time is now. Says it's an insult, not reparation. It's an insult, not reparation. And this is a common sentiment. Okay, when I was reading the comments online and I was talking to some of my friends, this was a common sentiment. And I really want you to call in and tell me about it. Um, hi Steve, hi Steven, Diamond. Is that Diamond? Yeah. Okay, hi Diamond. Good to see you. Um, hey Iman, good to have you here. In Kenyatta, Ubuntu. Yeah, guys, this is the link. You can call in. Hey, Ruth, good to see you. Please call in if you can and tell us about. Okay, greetings, this is AJOR, and yes, you're brought to live in Florida here. All right, so let me. I'm going to. I think. Let me see. Let me invite. Yeah. Okay. So let me see more. Private chat. Okay. Okay. So I posted the link. Yeah. So I posted the link in. So I posted the link. So Brother Forbes, I'd love if you can call in. Please call in and then let's discuss this because it's fixing to be an interesting topic. I for one, I'm glad that a community. I am actually glad that a community has started this. But you know what? I was discussing with my friend Tony Iman today, and you know, we were thinking about if this is real, if they're actually going to be able to do this, is this something that is well thought out, so that when it gets to a stage, they're not going to come and say, okay, well, we don't have the money, taxes are not okay, and then let me bring this in. So how is Evanston funding this? Evanston is funding this through marijuana taxes. So taxes that they're taking from marijuana, they're going to put that, that money towards reparation, and that's how they're going to fund this. So now we're concerned, talking about this, that is it not going to get to a point and then they come out to say that, okay, because so many people are applying for reparations, the funds are not available enough for this. And another question is also that in the first place to begin with, is this even enough? Is this even enough? So I have questions. I am not African American. I have questions and I need you to help me to answer them. Okay. So Brother Forbes, I'm still waiting for you. Brother Forbes is our guest for tonight. I don't know if you have, yeah, that's Brother Ford. Brother Ford, if you can hear me, can you make that can you put a comment and let me see you in the comment? Okay. I'd like to see you in the comments if you can hear me. I can wait. I'm just waiting for AA to come in. And all right. All right. So let me see. Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
I do.
Yes. Say greet.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Quite clear.
It's really
Yes.
good to see you, Brother Holmes.
The feeling is mutual, and probably even more so from my end.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
It's just a privilege for me because we've been talking for quite a lot, and I
Yes.
kind of like love your I don't know if I think my mic am I feedbacking?
I'm hearing you quite well.
Okay, so I'm thinking that we've been talking a lot, and then we have quite similar opinions about what is happening within our community and the fact that we have to use our voice for good in our community. So thank you so much for agreeing to come and talk to us. And we are happy to have your valued opinions on this.
I am honored to be and for you to consider me, and I'll be glad and I am eager to share my opinion. And correctly, you have said earlier, yes, we have shared many interests and viewpoints and many of the subject matters and a number of platforms. So certainly I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. So please introduce yourself, and then maybe I'll give you a rundown about the topic, and then we can take it from there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sister. To you and your guest, I would like to at least introduce myself as Eltali, the student at the Dean from was born in Jamaica, live in Canada and the US, pretty much North America, and do plan and share the aspiration and hopes of the ancestors. So I see myself as a fulfillment of that dream, the answer to the prayers, and the hope of my ancestor coming all the way back from the first one that was taken from the coast of east coast of Africa, from the dungeons, those buildings of the door of no return, and over 400 years of lifetime and progeny that leads to me. So in my family, I would say I'm the first one who is the fulfillment of that dream, that aspiration, and that hope of putting my feet back on the continent. And I did twice 2 years ago. And in light of the current pandemic and the global impact that it does have, I did plan that earlier last year I would have been on the continent, established my permanent footing there, but it also caused me to change plans. So, but I'm still working on those plans, and hopefully in the near future, I'll be joining you among the rest of my brothers and sisters, and we'll be making things happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I think the reason why I'm getting the echoes is because my audio is coming to you, and so if you can mute your mic when I talk, so that there won't be the echo. Yeah. Okay, so this is fantastic. So thank you so much for that introduction. Yeah, I love it. So many of our brothers and sisters are actually coming to settle here in Ghana, and I'm particularly excited about it because if there's anything I can do, if there's any way I can extend a hand to a sister or a brother, it will be more easier for me in this time of COVID to do it in Ghana than if they were in another country where I probably might not be traveling to. So I'm very happy to receive every single one of the African American brothers and sisters, the British African British, all of us from the Caribbean, from Asia, from everywhere around the world who are coming back. I can say that the awakening is like supercharging people, and the age of Aquarius is having such an impact that people are waking up, and our community is realizing who we are and our potential. So I'm not going to talk too much, Brother Talib. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to, okay, let me just give a quick rundown. So the city of Evanston, Illinois, they have been the pioneers in, somewhat, paying out something that resembles reparation to the African American community in that suburb of Chicago. And there has been, mixed feelings online about it. First of all, the total amount of money committed for this attempt to pay back reparations to our family is, I think, about 10 billion US dollars, and I stand corrected about the figure. But if I remember correctly, it's 10 billion US dollars, and they managed to come to a conclusion that every single person that is deserving of this amount is going to receive 25,000 US dollars, and that amount has caused quite a controversy with people divided on the matter. Okay, um, there is concerns. Okay, because people are questioning: is this actually, reparations? Because if you look at the cities across the United States, and if you look at the disbursement of the amount, it is going towards a down payment for purchase of homes, home repair, project support, and also towards mortgage assistance. And the argument is that there is assistance already, programs, there is grants already towards home repair, there is assistance for mortgage, you know, those paying mortgage, and there is all this. So is this actually reparation, or is it the same thing that is available that has been repackaged and maybe the cap up there a little bit to be called reparations? Those are some of the genuine questions. Um, Danny Glover said Danny the actor, Danny Glover, he said the national reparation policy is moral, it is democratic, and it is economic imperative that it should be paid. And people are also of the view that it shouldn't just be Evanston. It should be discussed broadly on what is good to be paid as reparation and what is not acceptable to be paid as reparations. And it should actually have a nationwide frenzy. And we should see more cities, more counties, more states, you know, following suit and doing this. Everything I know, okay, about from Jim Crow laws to what happened with Black Wall Street, with the redlining in real estate, um, you know, situations in our communities, the how would I even call it, the roadblocks that has essentially been put um, in the way of our brothers and sisters in their path and in their journey to attainment of wealth and happiness has been, enormous. So I would like to know, what is the position of AA? What Evanston is doing, is it commendable? Is it something that should be commended? Is it something that should be looked into more? Can anything be done? Or Should we take this as a startup? And then finally, is this kind of reparation meant to shut us the fuck up for the rest of history about, racism, about, enslavement, and about all the horrific history that exists, about intellectual property theft that came with um, slavery and everything else that happened? Is 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 is, is pain of reparation a time to say that we are not going to talk about what happened again, or what? Someone was of the view that, you know reparations should come in the form of cash in your hands, land, resources, and an apology for everything that happened in the past. And that is when, we can begin to have any kind of reconciliation for what has happened. I've given you a very broad, opening, because I don't want you to limit yourself. I want to give you as much room as possible to go on and talk to us. So I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to, give you the floor to educate us and also to tell us what AA thinks about all that is going on. Thank you so much, Brother Forbes.
Yes, sister. Can you hear me now? Yes. I would like to begin by drawing your audience, yourself, attention to the fact that reparation is not a simple thing. We can use, for example, and this is only an example in a micro scale, reparation that has been offered and given to other people to repair damages that has been done to them. Those damages that was done to them was only within one generation. It was not a prolonged damage that lasts for centuries. Reparation was given to them, and it continued for a long and prolonged period of time. And some of them, you can identify those reparations as over generations, for them to be repaired, for the damages to be repaired. Our reparation has no parallel, no real parallel. We have among our people sincere and scholarly people who have done the research and have bring together the figures and the estimate and guesstimate based upon the damage that was done to us in the area. And it's only a few subjects, only a few areas that we'll mention: education, family life, housing, services, employment, healthcare, and including property, agriculture, those things that were stolen from us. We're not even going to mention the economic steps that we had made to make improvement among ourselves, and those were destroyed. We're not even going to mention the cost and the damages for leadership that has been risen among us in order to assist us to develop, and they were killed, they were murdered. Those people are irreplaceable. It sent generations of people back many decades for them to foster leadership again. Now, so the question that begs for an answer: what are the elements, or what are the ingredients that goes into determining what is fair reparation? A little city or a little town, in their estimate, with their budget, and with those people who are recently Johnny-come-lately elected officials, they do not have within them the knowledge, the study, the facts that should be used
to give a reasonable, much less an accurate guesstimate of what it is reparation should be for the individual. They do not. So those are like nickel and dimes reparation. Our people and our suffering are worth much more than that. We are the base and the back upon which all the global economy, capitalism started on us. Taxes started on us. All the benefits that come to the economy, Japan, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand, not to mention all of Europe, all the European nations coming, and eventually America. All those economies were built based upon and after the slavery institution was established. Canada. So even if they were not directly in it, in the slave trade, they were beneficiaries of it. Their economy started so that they can be subsidiary to support America or Europe. And it was that way their economy started. So when we talk about reparation, we have to take into account all the current economies of the world and how it was established to reach this point. So we need people who are students of history, the best student of history. And we have among our people some who have done some estimate. And the very conservative estimate that they have done have come up to over $30 trillion. We're talking about $32 trillion that is owed to our people. We're not even talking about the lives, the millions of lives. They're talking about the economic impact and estimate and what it has cost our people over here. If we had it up, are they prepared to all these states and all these governments to throw in and give to the African American, to give to the African that is in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, in Europe? Are they prepared to throw in and put their contribution to reparation for us? So when a little town, as you mentioned, to what was the name, Evanston, Illinois, those was only little students who doesn't understand reparation when it comes down to the African American. They do not understand it.
Yeah.
How can your child, who doesn't even know their great grandparents, who come into existence 10, 15, 20 years, and they're going to speak about what it is their grandparents did and their actions and their deeds? They cannot. We have to take into account the cumulative actions that bring about the current conditions of our people. Many times they will ask the question, even among some of our own educated people as well, because they are product of the same institution that also enslaved their ancestor, and they cannot make sense of it. They come out with 2 or 3 doctorate and they just act like educated lunatics. Sometimes they blame us for our shortcomings because they do not understand the depth of what had happened to us. And they make excuses. Some of them are elected into position of high office and they cannot unravel. They cannot unravel the puzzle that ties us and causes us to be in this condition because they do not know sufficiently enough. They have to go deep. So this is the backdrop that we're fighting and we're looking at. So reparation is not a short-term looking at. Reparation is deep. It speaks to the foundation from the first stone that was laid in the establishment of Western economy, European economy, and all that was done to our people, both to lives, liberty, family, continuity, that which was established in institution to keep us in check. That's what we're talking about. Those are just a few of the ingredients that goes into reparation. And as
Wow.
they say, there's a saying, say that half have never yet been told.
Yeah.
We're still unraveling some of those things right now as we speak. Every day they come to light. If it was not for our Creator and the good principles and conduct of our ancestors and the traditions that they left us, many of these things would have gone unnoticed and we would have been unaware of them.
Yeah.
But thanks to our ancestor, they were sincere. They were the best of human beings. And we still are. We are the best of human beings. It is only that
Yeah.
we have
Definitely.
been corrupted into doing things that are unbecoming of ourselves. We are the first of human beings. As a matter of fact, we were the first human and the only human. Everything else is humankind.
Yeah.
Everything is a derivative and a mutation that came from us.
Mm.
Other people are not created from the same stock that we are created from. It is an excuse. It's a belittling. If one is to think that other people and other people who come to be the benefit or step and walk on us, that they are same as us, we cannot expect from them the same human quality as we have. No, it is a different, our nature is different. They are not of the same quality. They're not of the same making like us. There will come a time when these evidence and these proof will come about, irrefutable evidence. But some of us
And
will not. Yes.
what you're saying right now is really quite interesting because a lot is coming out already. A lot is coming out already about all of these facts of who we are that has been hidden away. And that is definitely a topic for another day that I would love for us to discuss because, it all comes into, this situation that we find ourselves in. And, it has been said that there was no genocide in Africa. There was no disease in Africa. There was no famine in Africa until the colonizers set foot in our shores. Um, this statement has been proven to be true because if you look at where the most atrocious murders of our people on the continent, situations happen on the continent, it's evident of the times that these things happened. And, it has always been bad news for our people when we let in those who seek to do us harm. Um, you know, but fast forwarding to today, um, do you based on what you said, what kind what how should the people of Evanston react to this? Because I'm just worried if they accept what has been given, is it going to be written across? You know, is it going to be a pace setter? Are they going to use that $25,000 to say, okay, let's keep it there? They accepted it, let's keep it there. How do we help our people to see? Because Danny Glover was there and he spoke about it and he seemed to be really excited, you know, about this. So how do we get our people involved in the conversation to kind of like, bring to light some of the comments you've made? Because of course there were people who went through this situation, and it's not very far. Our Jewish community went through this very situation for 1 or 2 generations, and they still receive reparations till today. So, just opposing to the fact that our ancestors, my ancestors, and your ancestors went through this situation, you know, um, you know, how how do they quantify that to $25,000? And that, if you look at the wealth gap, how far is $25,000 going to go? As long as we're talking about the years of this situation and the name called reparations. So how should people receive this? Do you think people should be encouraged to talk about this more?
It could be a subject for discussion, certainly. But I would like to say that the African Americans in Evansville, who are the subject of this matter, to be receiving the receiving end of this so-called reparation. It is a fool who take himself for his own lawyer. That is a saying we have in America here. I don't know if the rest of the world also uses that. And there's enough of among our people, scholars, from whom they can consult, from whom they should consult. And in order for them to have the best representation in going into this, I don't think it falls short. I don't think they're short of people with good intent, with good background evidence.
Yeah.
Background evidence that will support the claims. It is not that there is not evidence. There is evidence to support the claim that they will make. But for them to even consider accepting that, it would be foolhardy on their part. And I know that it is not a lacking of our people in these conditions and in these times that are desperate. Yes, for sure. There are people who are desperate because some of our people accept many things because of the condition that they find themselves in. But I would caution and I would advise our people to seek advice from those who have knowledge and those who have the historic knowledge, accurate knowledge that cannot be refuted, and use them. There are scholars among us. Okay. It shouldn't even be considered.
So I would like to ask, so if, for example, if the full amount of reparations was going to be paid, should it just be in kind of cash reparation, or what kind of reparations do you think our people deserve and must receive? What
our people, over a 10-year period, our farmers, it is estimated that our farmers, black farmers, have lost over 12 million, I repeat, 12 million acres. That's not an exaggeration. That's an accurate estimate. And it has been reported. It hasn't been refuted yet. Now, there's no evidence to refute that. And they have been barely hanging on to the last approximately 1 million that they jointly, collectively own from all those years of accumulation.
Yeah.
Now, America is big, and America have lots of land that are not privately owned. We have heard that currently one of the philanthropists are some of the wealthy ones who are trying to bend and limit our growth as a people. They have paid for a number of things on the continent, vaccination, because they want to limit our population. And I understand that they now are buying up farmlands.
Yeah.
America have lots of land that even some of the, and they gave to people so that they can conquer took the Mexican land and land from them in the early years of America expansion. Create fictitious claims, they send people to go out and establish farms, and then they put fence, and then they will send the military to go protect those farmers, even though they know those farmers acquired those land not by legal means or fair means, but they're stolen. So America has lots of land and lots of assets. America can give, and one social reformers refer to, if America gave 2 or 3 of the states to our African American people, and support them for 10 years. Let them establish their own government, their own system of their own choice among themselves without any underlying influences from European Americans, from the former slave master. And let we establish that we should be able to put ourselves within a decade of sustenance, giving us sustenance, give us a budget that we can agree to, and let our operate and then set up our own government with our own system to fund ourselves in the same manner how you have these state government, these governors, and these city government, you have municipal government, and you have state government. Let us choose the government of our choice with our democracy as we see fit. Let us do that.
Yeah.
That would be a better choice for us.
Yeah.
If they are genuine and sincere. The state of Israel, New Zealand, Australia, and a whole lot of other satellite states that are just coming in, nations that are coming into themselves. Europe set them up against the indigenous people. Europe set them up, they fund them. Then they put them into the European circle and they start to do trade, business. People, they send their prisoners, they empty their jail and send them there to establish colonies, a nation. How many indigenous Australians were wiped out to establish the country of Australia?
Mm-hmm.
How many of the indigenous people in New Zealand were wiped out?
So many.
How many of the early settlers of Palestine was wiped out to establish the state of Israel in 1948? They attempted it, and one of their choices was not only Israel, but they wanted was to establish that also in Uganda and Brazil. It wouldn't take root because those were separate states, so they find a more welcoming places in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying if you're genuine and sincere about reparation should take a formula that is mutually agreed upon. And we want to have some of our best mind, not those who are working for the state that who call themselves Black or African American, but their interest is really for patriotism for America. We want people and leaders of our own choosing. Those would be the ones that would be able to help in the determination of the process and how it should go about.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Those are some of the most valuable comments you've made, and I'm really glad that we were able to come on here. But if you go on the website of the city of Evanston.org, okay, I'm looking at how the whole process, because they are announcing it and they are having this media show of the fact that they are the first to say reparations. But if you go and see how how have they involved the community members, how has the community members been involved? They say that the Equity and Empowerment Commission held 2 community meetings in July 2019 to solicit feedback from the community to identify meaningful solutions for reparations. At 2 community meetings. And then listen to this. The Reparations Subcommittee hosted 3 town halls in December 2019, May 2020, and August 2020 to educate and inform the community on reparations at the federal levels. So this looks like, to me, it sounds really rushed. It sounds really rushed because if you are going to involve the people in the process of how their reparations is supposed to be paid, I think I would rather more engagements, more discussions with the people concerning, what it is that you're going to be doing. If you even look at the time frame, it's December 2019, May 2020, and August 2020. So within it's just like 3 days. You take 3 days from this period. And that is how long they engaged the people within the community. And yeah, so
Yeah,
what was your take on that?
if I can speak to that point, I would like to use an example. I have, on a number of occasions, I have spoken, and other people who have had the experience have shared it with me, and I have had my own experience too. There is a technique that is used for those who are in the insurance business. That's when you find a victim who has a genuine claim, the insurance company who is the potential to paying out the insurance reward for the victim, they would get their case insurance people contact the victim, and they would get the details, what is their story, and they would make an offer right there to them. If they find their situation dire, that will also determine the amount that they would offer to them. And that would sometimes be just minuscule of what their victim potentially should have and should have been receiving from the insurance company. So the methods and the technique that they're using there and the desperate people is nothing short of those insurance company approaching people, giving them deadline and short response, for them not even to even debate it and discuss it among themselves, and for them to probably come up and sign the dotted line. They have done it quite often, quite openly. It's a method that they have used in real estate. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm still there because it says in Evanston, the local reparation fund was established to support initiatives addressing the historical wealth and opportunity gap for African Americans / Black residents. The first initiative is the restorative housing program. Once approved by the city council, the program guidelines will provide details on how individuals will be able to qualify in additional how individuals will be able to qualify and additional information regarding document verification and submission. So the point is, it's even out there that they're paying reparation, but at this point, even the process to qualify, the guidelines to qualification is still not out there. Secondly, it's important for me to know from you. Do you know anything about requirements? How do you get approved to get mortgage in the system? Because if again, our people are in a situation where they cannot have the credit score. I think in the US it's a thing to have a good credit score. And if you are not in the situation and have a good credit score, then you are not in line to be able to get mortgage. And if you're not able to get mortgage, how then do you acquire this property and get this 25,000 cedis to either repair it, either to support you to pay for it, or to support you to buy it? So I don't know how the inner workings are. So maybe you can do a light on that.
The American system, as it was set up, it is set up unlike most other country that helps its citizens, to achieve success. America's system or the Western, we would say, because that includes Europe as well too, and most European countries.
Yeah.
But it was set up to extract and to continue to extract from the people who work. It was never set up as an aid and an assistant to help people build. You have to be familiar with the techniques and the terms and those secret formulas that they have. It was never benefit for the public. Now, for one, knowing that our situation, and I should preface that by saying that the details of how they determine who is qualified for the reparation has not been announced, not to my knowledge. Those details have not put forth.
Yeah.
So I would go and say the mortgage system as it sets up, one can put down an amount when one sees that they would like a home or a property. And when you put down that amount, whatever the percentage of a down payment on that property, then you would work and get a mortgage, and you will work to try to pay off that mortgage. But by the time you pay and renew those mortgage over the term that they have set up, chances are you will pay 3 to 5 times the value of what the home is. And that depends on the rate of interest that you pay.
Wow.
So a system that is set up to extrapolate all the earning that you have, it did not set up to aid and abet and assist you to have ownership. It is set up for you to work consistently and for you to work for the system. That is how they have set up the Western monetary system. It is unlike what you have on the continent, what I call. It is unlike that on the continent, or what you have even in some what they refer to as Middle East country that I'm familiar with, because they have a system that they refer to as la riba, meaning no interest. When you purchase something, you, the intended purchaser or purchaser, borrow to pay for that. You are joint owners until when you have more than 50% ownership in it, then you now begin to pay. You agree upon what is the monthly payment that you pay until it's complete.
Okay. Wow. So I'm still on the website because I wouldn't want to take the information, secondhand from anywhere else. So I'm just looking through and I'm wondering who is going to get it and how are these people going to be identified? And then it says that the program identifies eligible applicants as Black or African American persons having origins in any of the Black racial and ethnic groups of Africa. So does it mean if I go to the US and I have a child and the child lives in Evanston, Illinois, that child, because he's Black and has, uh, origins in, Black racial and ethnic group of Africa, and is African American because the child has an American passport, qualifies to receive this preparation. Because that's what well, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I think I'm reading. Yeah.
If that is the criteria that they set, then they are now determining who would be the qualified person for that. In the same way, when you do an income tax, they have a certain claim or criteria as to who can claim certain things. For example, most people who work and have employment, but then again, there's a condition unto which person can claim expenses. Everyone may work and everyone may buy food, everyone may travel, but then to claim those deductions, one has to either essentially, you have to rely on those expenses in order for you to claim those deductions. Those expenses have to incur for you to, while you incur to make income, in order for you to claim those expenses as a deduction. While someone who works from home, he or she cannot claim those expenses.
No.
Because those expenses did not incur in order for you to make the income, whether or not you travel. So they will have to determine, they who are the ones who are setting the criteria will determine that. And from what you just read there, it suggests that they are trying to narrow down that those who have the ability or who should have the ability to claim are the ones who can prove their family tree or someone in their family that they expect that can legitimately claim that they are descendants of slaves.
Okay, so is that going to go into DNA testing?
Well, apparently that might be the criteria now that is well known for establishing that.
Wow. Let me take a few of your comments. And this is the Wolf Africa Show. Welcome to the Wolf Africa Show. I'm your girl, Ejewa. And please hit the like button if you're enjoying this conversation. And, we are so blessed to have Mr. Forbes with us on, this program because he is a well of knowledge. He's a well of information. And I've never seen a human being so passionate about the awakening of our people, so passionate about our people getting this right after awakening. I've never seen a human being who genuinely has a passion for our people to be standing on their feet as much as, I've seen this man. And the reason why I respect him so much is he's not getting fame for it. He's not hungry for money for it. He's not in big in the limelight, but he had some powerful knowledge about our people and how he thinks our people can actually stand on our own 2 feet. And I would rather have no one else than him sitting on here. So thank you so much. And let me take a few of your comments. Welcome, Judy. It's good to see you. It says a genocide our ancestors endured. Yeah. For generations upon generations upon generations. It was tough. It was every day. It was constant. It was abusive. There is even proof that slavery actually altered our DNA a little. So that kind of horrific experiences has, been recorded in our DNA and is going to be carried through, generations unborn. And that is an act of violence that should not be visited on any human race living on earth. So thank you for that comment, Judy. And then Judy says, laugh out loud, true. Okay, I'm sure for another comment. It says the reparation experts in the USA and the Caribbean should be on their way to Illinois. Mr. Forbes, would you want to comment on this point?
Repeat that. The
reparation experts in the USA and the Caribbean should be on their way to Evanston.
Should be on their way to
Evanston, Illinois. Before, I'm sure she's thinking before our people go and line up to take it.
In light of the current global issues that the world is faced with, I am not surprised anymore that these issues are being thrown in all the confusion, in all the lack of understanding and clarity for people to consider in this time. Because as they know, when people are desperate, people accept things that was normally below their standard and their dignity.
Yeah.
Did the people who are offering these idea of reparation, did they consult with any of the well-meaning, well-thinking people among us? Do they do it? Do you offer a child? Do you offer a child who come a compensation for the parents? Because the child has no knowledge of what their parents went through.
Yeah.
So to offer to Evansville, their constituency, and in this day and time, under these circumstances, then even for our people to even consider it, but understanding what desperation they may have, they're trying to set a precedent Those people who offer this, they're trying to set a precedent.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I feel that they are. $25,000 really, you know,
That
in
that
any black community, in the setting of any black community, 80% of our people in any black setup, be it in Africa, in Europe, wherever, would be gushing to take it. But if
that
you look at it, it's not even enough to eradicate poverty and cross you over to the wealth side.
poverty in most, I may, if I may interject there, that poverty, those who find themselves in poverty is usually a lifetime, unless they find a way or a mean to eradicate or to remove themselves from poverty. And $25,000 to offer someone that is even less than what a reasonable um, low-end car would cost for even to travel. It is less than what many are some of those well-to-do people get for 1 year's salary of income tax return when they file their taxes, their expenses. So you can see the insult that is being portrayed or put there. And
Yeah.
I don't know if those people who put this out intend to get national attention and to be applauded for doing
Yeah.
something positive and intend to get something positive. But I think it may have some effect that are probably beyond their ability to see what it is.
hmm
Most
I, I
likely.
I I agree. I agree, and I'd like to take a few of your comments. Um, True African Stand Up says Dr. Claude Anderson has been fighting for reparations for years, and I'm sure she's making reference to one of those experts who actually understand what reparation is about. And Judy says, or census record from post-slavery time period. Yeah, I'm not sure if they are even interested in that from the way they're rushing things over. Um, I'll take more comments. Um, I wanted to retrieve my grandmother and great grandmother's death certificates. They told me they must be late for 75 years. Um, I don't even know what to say about that. And I must prove it by genealogy. Really? Can you imagine? So True African Stand Up. I wanted to ask. We would love to hear from you. Are you in Illinois? Are you in Evanston? And have
No.
you attempted to? Yeah, I'm talking to Skin Deep. She's
Okay.
with us. She's saying that she wanted to retrieve her grandmother's and great grandmother's death certificates, and they told her they must be late for 75 years. I wanted an explanation to that. And they said she must prove it by genealogy. So I wanted to know, okay, no, she's in New York. So I'm sure that is also about another incident. So Judy says, I've seen census record listing my fourth generation grandfather as property of his owner, Franklin, in Virginia. You know, these things, they just, when I see these documentations of the exploitation of our people, it really do sicken me. It makes me feel sick. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so she's in New York. So this is not part of it, but so we've talked a lot about it, and then we've actually gone to the website, and we've actually, guys, you guys should all go to cityofevanston.org, okay, and take your time and read what this is about, because it will hurt me for us to take reparation and still be marking time where we are. Because if we're going to take reparation, it should be significant enough to move the ground. It should be significant enough for our people to have a headway. And if you look at how it was all presented, it was presented in a very nice fashion to say, hey, breaking news, we're the first city to pay reparations and stuff like that. But if you go into the details, you find that this whole thing was rushed through it. I mean, if they're talking about December 2019 to August 2020, that is pandemic time when people were locked up in their homes. So how much of our people were actually involved in it? And you know, um, I'm not trying to dumping the work they've done, but it's just I think if we're being offered something as a people, definitely we must, be involved in the process, and to decide to accept something like that with the title reparation. When you take reparation, I mean, it's equivalent to like, so now don't, yeah, you don't even have the right to, talk about certain things, or, I mean, so once you take that money, does that erase everything? When you see take that money, is that what you deserve? Is that what should be paid to you? And so what I'm thinking is that our people must kind of take a step back, because we've been fighting for reparations for so long, and then now that it's being dangled just in front of your eyes like something to be discarded. I think we
Candy,
should
rather.
actually
Candy.
yeah,
Candy is
like a
dangled.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, like a candy.
Hmm.
Um, please take a look at the size of the piñata before you get so excited cracking it open, because you might actually finish eating it and realize it wasn't big enough. And so, please, can you give us your advice, going forward? Talk to our people, talk to us, okay? And I'm actually afraid if this is accepted, it will set a precedent, and that is what I think the conversation should be opened up more. So,
The
yeah,
conversation should the conversation should be on the line of
yeah,
how do you give a people their freedom. There is no estimate, and there can be no estimate put on the amount of money, currency, that one can charge for one's freedom, actual, genuine, sincere freedom. When these European countries was established, they were established, I'm talking the later day one, the ones that were established over the past less than 100 years. They can operate independently now. They have their own government, they have their own system, they have their own currency, they have everything that they need to operate a government. They have their own scholars, they have their own school of thought, they have, and whatever they choose. So until we get our freedom, there is no, we put no price on that, because there can be none. There can be none until we get that freedom to exercise our talent, to use our talent for the betterment of our country, to establish our citizenship, and to befriend and develop our own culture, so that we can be able to be 100% to our own people, all to give $1 million to each one of us, while we still live under American system of governance and government, with the people who they're looking for an opportunity to extract from us, to still have to live under a system that was established that did not include us.
mm-hmm.
That would not be even the equivalent of reparation, correct reparation, unless we have the freedom to establish our own and live our own with our own people. Freedom
Yeah,
of choice. That's what America is. That's what New Zealand is. That's why Australia is. That's why Israel is. Yes, they operated independent Europe, but Europe set them up, took it away from the indigenous people and set them up, sent a bunch of their people to go, whatever they claim that they are.
Yep.
So for us to be here and we still want to operate under this constitution, under this system that also did all those harm to us over the centuries, it would be foolhardy. It is to be like, say, you would like to stay in jail, get paid, and be told that you are free.
Yeah. Wow, that is deep. That's a deep statement, guys.
Yeah, that's what we
Don't
would
let's
be
kid
doing.
ourselves. Yeah.
How does a people, after establishing in law a right to vote, a right to be considered human beings, when you were usually considered 3/5, to be considered human being with the full rights, and you after generation have to go fight for the same rights that a previous generation has achieved and books? Why are we still fighting for those things that a generation before us has bled for, has died for, has sacrificed for? Why would you go fight for the same dollar that your parents have fought for and you already get it? It should be in your account. It should be a given. The more we listen to some of these deceptive ideas and things that are directed to African Americans, the more we begin to see the accumulation of the dishonesty and the disingenuousness of these people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would like to just bring across some of the key points that I took from everything that you said. And the biggest key point was that our people suffered atrocious situations for generations, and being dangled peanuts or candy, tiny candies, you know, for reparation, where others suffered a generation or two, and then they get reparations for, like, so we have to realize that if we accept peanuts, that is what will be given to us. But if we keep fighting, we might definitely actually arrive at a point where we're getting what we deserve. Another thing that I took from this is that, you know, the determination of how much who gets what, that should also, we should allow the experts within our community who knows what this whole situation has been to make inputs in that. And it shouldn't be rushed over, lockdown, in lockdown period, and then be brought out to say, because we what it's a shame. I think it should be revisited. People, there should be a wider consultation, and people should be given the opportunity to make their contribution. And also that all the economies in the world, we should ask all these economies that has been established in the world how they started, and is literally off the backs of our ancestors. Wherever they were occupying, they were either killed, in the land taken over by them, and those who were strong enough to resist them suffered, untold atrocities, and generations of, lies and brainwash, and the complete alienation of our ancestors, our story, our history of greatness that we were. And the good thing is it's coming out, in this age of Aquarius. So I would like to thank you so much, Dr. Forbes, for Mr. Forbes, for coming on the show and talking to us about it. So before we go, how are the COVID restrictions in your area, and how soon do you think they'll make it to the motherland?
At the moment,
Yes.
I am finalizing my plans without disclosing the details. I will give
Of
you in
course.
an overview. I am
Of course.
finalizing my plans. I'll be traveling to another country,
Yeah.
particularly Jamaica. Jamaica
Oh,
now do
great.
have a direct flight, chartered, however, it might be a chartered flight, where they go directly from the continent to the Caribbean, and
Yeah.
where that flight time is cut from in the 25 to 27 hours. That would be the normal flight time from North America to the continent. They would go via Europe, but now a direct flight from the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica, to Ghana would be 5 hours.
Wow.
Yes. So I am looking forward that our people there in the Caribbean would use that location and those flying to be a hub, and they would go to Jamaica, probably spend a week or a weekend, catch their flight from there to Ghana, en route to Nigeria, where the flight would originate from. But it goes first to Ghana, and then to Nigeria.
Wow.
Earpiece is the name of the airline, owned by a Nigerian brother, and they're doing well. And we hope that others will follow. This
That's
is
amazing. Hmm.
this is set to be once every quarter or every 3 months, and those will be chartered, but hopefully we'll be able to make that regular based upon the demand.
Yeah.
Those people who are operating on schedule, that I hope it will be numerous, probably once a week, hopefully before the end of the year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Peru says um, slavery has taught Europeans to always remain ahead of blacks in every economic category, even with reparations. Yeah, it is. So I mean, I'm so glad that we talked about this because kind of like issuing this warning that our people should take their time and make sure those who actually want the best for us, those who want us to actually grow and be in our own, should lead the conversations as to what criteria goes into calculating what our people deserve for reparations. So, with that said, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Forbes. I enjoyed your presence. Thank you. And this is where we end the show. Please remember we are not monetized, so we would appreciate it if you can support us on Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/the World Capital Show. Please hit the like button and subscribe. If there's anyone you would like to share this conversation with, please kindly share it with them and let them start thinking about what we deserve as, AA or ADOS for reparations. But if nobody talks about it, then it goes under the rug and they take the credit for giving the media $25,000 for generations, years, hundreds of years of free labor and atrocities committed against our people. So thank you so much and keep standing up for the truth. Ubuntu, I am because we are. Have a fantastic day, and we come your way again next time with another hot topics like this. Ubuntu.